It all began with a simple request. A man handed a photograph to a psychic, expecting a typical reading. The room was dimly lit, the flickering candles casting soft shadows across the walls. The scent of burning sage hung in the air, adding to the mystical atmosphere, while a faint chime echoed from afar, as if signaling something beyond. Across from him, the psychic sat still, her gaze fixed on the photograph. She held it delicately, her fingers brushing the edges as if she could sense its energy. At first, everything seemed calm. She closed her eyes, her face softening, and her breathing slowed, filling the room with a sense of tranquility. The man sat back, curious but thinking this would be a harmless, even playful, experience. He never expected what was about to unfold. The atmosphere shifted. The psychic's breathing grew quicker, her hands trembled, and a shadow of unease spread across her face. The room seemed to grow colder, the air thicker, almost suffocating. The man leaned forward, his curiosity turning into concern. What started as a light-hearted exploration of the unknown now felt unsettling, as if something deeper was unfolding. The psychic's lips moved, but no sound emerged, as if she were whispering secrets only she could hear. The man's heart began to pound. This was no longer the casual reading he had expected. Something profound was happening, and he couldn't shake the feeling that it was far beyond his understanding. Finally, the psychic opened her eyes. The intensity in her gaze was overwhelming, her expression a mix of awe and fear, as if she had witnessed something beyond her comprehension. She gripped the photograph tightly, her knuckles turning white. Her voice, calm but filled with a sense of warning, broke the silence. "You don't understand what you're dealing with." She placed the photograph gently back on the table, her hands shaking as if the image itself burned her. The man, now desperate for answers, leaned forward, his curiosity replaced by anxiety. But when their eyes met, he saw something that made him hesitate. It was as if the psychic knew a truth too heavy to reveal, a truth that would change everything. The room fell still. The faint chime that had once felt distant now seemed far away, almost otherworldly. "What do you mean?" the man asked, his voice barely above a whisper. His heart raced, each beat echoing through the silence. The psychic's fingers twitched nervously as she took a deep breath. She glanced at the photograph, then around the room as though searching for something unseen. Her voice was low, barely audible. "This person in the picture, they are not ordinary. Their energy, it's overwhelming." Confusion clouded the man's thoughts. "Overwhelming?" he asked, struggling to understand. He had always known you, your habits, your quirks, everything that made you who you were. But now, doubt crept in. Was there something more? Had he missed something about you? Had you been hiding a side of yourself he had never seen before? The psychic continued, her hands trembling slightly as she placed them flat on the table. Her eyes darted nervously to the dark corners of the room, as if something unseen was watching. "They carry a power," she murmured, her voice trailing off. "What kind of power?" the man asked, his voice cracking slightly. He was now on edge, the room feeling colder with every word. The psychic pressed her lips together, her face pale, as though trying to hold back a deeper truth. "It's a force that few can understand," she said softly. "It's not just energy, it's something ancient. Something that demands respect." Her words hung in the air, heavy and full of forewarning. The man felt a chill run through him, a deep sense of unease settling in his stomach. "Protecting them and yourself may not be easy," she added in a whisper. The psychic's gaze flickered back to the shadows in the room, her unease growing. The man's stomach churned as the psychic's words sank in. His grip tightened on the edge of the table, his mind racing with questions that spilled from his lips. "What are you saying? Who are they?" Fear tinged his voice. The psychic leaned forward, her shadow flickering in the candlelight, her voice low and deliberate. "They are more than you think. More than anyone realizes." The silence in the room deepened, suffocating. The man's heart thudded in his chest, each beat louder than the last. He leaned in, desperate for answers. Finally, the psychic met his gaze, her face pale, her lips trembling. Her voice barely above a whisper, she spoke, "I must warn you. This person, their presence in your life is no accident. They are connected to you in ways you cannot yet understand." The weight of her words hit him like a physical blow. His chest tightened, and he struggled to find the strength to speak. His voice cracked with urgency as he asked, "What are you saying? Who are they?" The psychic's eyes flickered toward the shadows once more, her unease growing. She took a deep breath, her voice cautious but certain. "They are a soul destined to transform your life." Her words seemed to hang in the air, charged with meaning. But transformation is never easy. They carry a mysterious power, one that can heal your wounds or reveal your deepest truths. Truths you've hidden even from yourself. The man's stomach lurched as the psychic's words cut deep into him. He swallowed hard, the dry lump in his throat almost choking him. "What kind of power?" he whispered. His voice trembled. The psychic straightened, her gaze darting back to the shadows, as if they held the answers she could not fully articulate. "It's not a power you can see or touch," she explained softly. "It's ancient. It works through connection, through energy. They will uncover what lies buried in you, both the light and the dark. You must tread carefully. They are in your life for a reason, but the journey will not be simple." Her words pressed down on him like a weight. His mind raced, trying to piece it all together. Could this strange feeling he had always had toward you explain the pull he felt, the magnetic connection that seemed to shape his life in ways he never understood? The psychic's warning echoed in his mind, a constant reminder: heal or unearth your darkest truths. Was this what he had sensed all along but never allowed himself to acknowledge? The candles flickered, casting shifting shadows across the room, and he leaned back in his chair, stiff and tense. His mind swirled with confusion, but one thing was clear: whatever the truth was, he could no longer ignore it. He was standing on the edge of something vast, unknown, and there was no turning back. The psychic's voice softened, almost as if she were trying to comfort him. "This isn't something to fear," she said gently. "But it is something to respect. Their energy has the power to unlock parts of you that have long been buried: your joys, your sorrows, your strengths, and your weaknesses. Be ready to face it all. The man sat back, her words sinking into him, making him reconsider everything he had known about himself and the person in the photograph. He realized that this meeting was not just about you, it was about him, too. About the changes you had already started to bring into his life, even without him realizing it. He thought back to every moment they had shared, their smiles, their laughter, even the quiet moments between them. They all felt different now, charged with meaning he had never noticed before. Had your presence been shaping his life all along, and had he been blind to it? The thought both comforted and terrified him. As he walked out of the psychic's room, the air outside felt colder, but it wasn't the weather that made him shiver. It was the psychic's final words that echoed in his mind: they are not just in your life by chance. Embrace their presence, but remember, the choice of how this transformation unfolds is yours. The question burned within him: who were you truly? What role were you meant to play in his life? The answer both terrified and fascinated him. There was something undeniable, something magnetic, pulling him toward you. It made it impossible for him to walk away. Little did he know, the real revelation was yet to come. Days turned into weeks, and the psychic's words continued to haunt him. He couldn't stop thinking about you, about the powerful impact you seemed to have on his life. Did you sense the power the psychic described, or was it something you carried unknowingly? The questions swirled in his thoughts, growing in intensity, adding layers to the mystery surrounding you. Despite all of this, one truth remained clear: transformation is never easy. He knew the journey ahead wouldn't be without challenges. He would have to face his fears, his vulnerabilities, things he had long avoided. But deep down, he knew it would be worth it. The changes you brought into his life were already shaping him into someone stronger, more self-aware. So, he made a choice. He chose to embrace the mystery, to lean into the transformation. He trusted the connection he felt with you, and with that trust came the resolve to face whatever challenges lay ahead. For he knew you were a part of his journey for a reason. Together, he believed, you could navigate the unknown and uncover the truths that awaited. With the weight of the psychic's words and the unknown path ahead, the man stepped forward, trusting that divine guidance would lead him to the truth. Whatever was to come, he was ready to face it.